To give you a very simple overview, a MIDI controller keyboard is an instrument used to control virtual instruments. It does not play its own sound, it does not have its own sound, and it does not use power. The only thing you need to connect your MIDI controller keyboard to your computer is a MIDI cable or a USB cable, and it works as a controller, more like your mouse. Pam, 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 pam. You get it? So you use a computer before you can access sound. The regular keyboard is a standalone instrument. It has its own sound bank. You don't need to connect it to a computer to access the sound on it. So unlike a MIDI, you cannot use a MIDI controller for live production. If you are going to use a MIDI controller for live production, that means you have to connect it to a virtual instrument. The purpose why the manufacturers design those stuffs are different. A keyboard is actually designed to be a standalone instrument for performance. It has its own sound and its own richness. A MIDI controller keyboard, as the name implies, it is just a controller designed to give you access to the DAW, designed to give you access to the virtual instruments that you will see only in your computer, only inside of your computer. So it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, but they serve multifunctional purposes. Both the MIDI controller keyboard and the regular keyboard have their own advantages. Yeah, so it is important for you to know these things and have them in the back of your mind. If you're a kind of person that you like to play, you like flexibility, you like to either you are producing or you are not producing, you just want to get your hands on the keys and everything, bro, get yourself a good keyboard that has a MIDI port with it, so you can actually be as. For me, that was actually the first thing I got when I started production. I ensured that I got myself a good keyboard with MIDI ports behind it, so I can actually use it as a controller. Because then I was looking at it like, oh wow, bro, I need to get better on the keyboard. At the same time, I need to use it for my production. I don't want anything to limit me, like, okay, I have to connect to a computer before I can have access to practicing keyboard. No. I don't like that. Then over time, I chose to buy a mini controller keyboard for myself. So because most times I go out for production, so I cannot carry the regular keyboard up and down, so I have to go with a mini MIDI controller. The best bet is to get a MIDI controller. So when I got my MIDI controller, it's just plug and play. When you plug it to your computer, automatically it works. Although there are some MIDI controllers that you have to install the software, but the basic thing there is you don't need a power source for it. The source, the power, the connectivity, everything comes from that USB connection, that MIDI connection. If you choose to buy a regular keyboard, it just ensure that it has a MIDI port behind. You get it? They are multifunctional. If you can afford to get yourself a good keyboard with MIDI interface, good. Just go. If you're on a tight budget, it's advisable you go for a mini MIDI controller keyboard. You need to know what you want. Know exactly why you want this thing done. And know exactly why you want this thing.